Welcome everyone to another episode of the Big Brain MMA podcast. I'm your host, like always, BigSteve, full-time gambler from down under. I've got a special guest today, Will Martin. I'm sure a lot of you know him, one of the OGs from back in the day. Been listening to his videos for 4 or 5 years on and off, when nobody else was discussing fights. He was the man I would tune in, and Dan from After Battle. How are you, mate? Thanks for coming on.
No, I'm good, mate. Thanks for having me. It's nice to get the message saying you'd like me to come on. I've been around a long time, but if I'm being completely honest, I've not did too many other videos with other people, so I'm kind of probably low in single digits when it comes to that. So to get you to ask me to come on, I was more than happy to jump on here and talk some fights. So yeah, all good.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that you're not like
No.
a popular guest, or maybe just I thought maybe you were busy, but I thought, why not? I'll shoot my shot anyway.
No,
if he says no, he says no. You know.
No. I'll always jump on if I can jump on. It just some people just don't ask, so it is what it is. I don't mind sitting back and letting those. There's a lot of the guys that kind of like to band together. I keep myself to myself really, but I'm always free to jump on top fights if I can.
Yeah, it's all just like little niche groups. I like to bring on guests that I rate, and just unique guests. Sharp bettors, sharp gamblers, OGs, etc., etc. But yeah, without any more time wasting, I reckon we get straight into it, mate. Max and Grisham versus Philippe Lins. Would you like to take away this amazing opener?
Yeah, I'm picking Marcin Prachnio. Sorry. No, it's a little mistake on my video that I made yesterday there. But like I say, interesting fight. I was looking forward to Lins coming into the UFC to see what it was all about. I thought he'd maybe come in and he'd maybe do pretty decent, and he did not look great when he came into the UFC. But like I said in the video I made, it's just like he won that $1 million over there, so he'd already been a lot of money, probably his highest success he's probably ever going to have in his career, and he's coming over and coming into that heavyweight division. I thought he could win some fights, but honestly, he looked kind of dreadful when he came over and didn't look good against Arlovski. Now, Arlovski's a tough guy to fight. He's been around for so many years, and it's just a hard guy to kind of really look good against. And he came in there, looked kind of slow, lethargic, didn't look like he had much, and then got knocked out by Tanabosa. But like I say, since he's dropped down, a couple of low-level wins, if we're being honest, against Prachnio and against OSP. But I kind of like where he's at. He looks like he's kind of got that second win in his career. Looks like he's coming in here with a lot of confidence, I watched his interview. I'm not one for really watching interviews all that much, but it seems to me like he's got his head kind of screwed on. He realizes this is his final opportunity to maybe make a run in the UFC. I just think he's got a really awkward opponent here. I think this Grisham guy is. I don't think he's spectacular in kind of any real one area, but he's very, very solid in a lot of areas, and he's very crafty, and he can just kind of get on top of you a little bit. Lins, he came out and said he's going to take this to the ground, which kind of surprised me a little bit, because I thought if he's going to have any success, he might be able to kind of do it with his hands. But I'm kind of leaning on the Grisham side. I think he's a little bit more solid and a little bit more reliable, in my opinion, because I think that after the kind of 5 to maybe 7 minute part of this fight, I think Grisham can take over. But like I say, I think he's minus 140 over here in the UK. It's not really a fight I really want to get invested in, but as a pick, Grisham is probably the side I'm going to lean on.
Yeah, it's one of those fights, man. 39-year-old ex-heavyweight and a 37-year-old. The fact that you said the Lins is going to want to wrestle, it's probably a bit of a red flag for me, because he totally gassed himself out trying to wrestle Marcin Prachnio and didn't really have much success. He did, but he rocked him on the feet, and that could have been a much easier fight if he just focused on his hands and didn't gas himself out, constantly looking for takedowns. And then even when he got him down, he couldn't finish him. So I don't envision him finishing someone like Max and Grisham, who has good get-ups. His whole career has been trying to get taken down. Mikhail in PFL, Jordan Johnson twice, Rama, Cleveland, just everyone takes, Mike and Goliath, everyone wants to take this guy down. Tabura did, Antigulov. Yeah, it's not I get, like you said, not a fight I have too much conviction on. I lean Grisham as well, just because even he doesn't do anything particularly impressively, but he's just it's a steady pace over 3 rounds. Whereas Lin's, I don't know when Lin's is going to get chinned. I don't know when he's going to cardio die randomly. Yeah, just a lot of flakiness with Lin's. Whereas Grisham, he might fight close, but you know what you're going to get from him. So yeah, I'll lean Grisham, but at this line, I probably just see it as accurate. I don't know if I'll be doing more detailed tape. I don't think Grisham ever, even against Antigullo, man. So he was getting taken down, mounted some red flags there. So yeah, no, let's move on. This is a good fight. Luan, Lacerda, Damon, Blackshear. I'll take this one away if you don't mind. First fight I taped. I wish I taped it earlier when Lacerda was a dog. Someone pointed it out to me. I do agree with the line movement. I do feel like what it comes down to, the striking can be competitive. Lacerda's got the Muay Thai, the upright stance, good body. It rips the body. He hurt Stamen to the body. He dropped a kid on the regional scenes with a body shot at the bell. So he's got good striking, and he used to pull guard. Now he's got somewhat decent wrestling, offensive wrestling. He's got amazing jiu-jitsu, like elite jiu-jitsu. Not just like jumping on subs, but just like pulling guard and ending up on top. Like his sweeps are amazing. And yeah, I think on the other side, Damon also, really athletic, long. So his striking is good too. He's a solid wrestler, but he can be taken down. A lot of people have taken him down. A lot of people have put him in tight submissions. Fighters I don't really rate, like Vogel and what's his name, Zalal. Deep Kimuras, deep back takes. He's never been submitted, which is pretty impressive. He's fought Sabatini, et cetera. Good fighters, good jiu-jitsu dudes. But if he's going to put himself in those positions against Lacerda, worst case scenario, he's going to lose the round, which he's done heaps of times. So yeah, I'll lean Lacerda just because competitive striking, he can get takedowns. Blackshear, really good offensive wrestling, but I've seen a lot of people take him down. A lot of people, and Zalal has bad wrestling, and we've seen him take down. I think it was twice in their fight. So it's just red flags. Red flags. But at the end of the day, I still see this as somewhat competitive. He's not a bum, Blackshear. I can see if he doesn't get submitted, I can see a lot of scrambles, and I can see potentially a back take from him, even though Lacerda is a really good jiu-jitsu fighter. So yeah, I can see it's a dog or pass at the moment, even though I lean Lacerda. What about you?
Yeah, this was one of the ones that kind of jumped out to me quite quickly when we had the kind of off week, and like I seen what the line was when it was plus money, and I was like, "There's no way we're getting that over here in the UK because we're quite slow to adjust or to get lines out quick. And the time the Americans or whoever gets to it, the lines over here change." So, but like I'm one of these guys that loves looking at regional fighters coming through that you don't know about. It's always something that I love really going back and looking into. And the Brazilian scene was one of the scenes I really dug into a couple of years back. And Lacerda was one of the guys I seen coming up who I really, really like just because his ground game is electric. He really is. He's so proficient with his jiu-jitsu. I thought that this guy, if he makes it to the UFC and if he can get his skill up with his striking, I thought this guy's going to be super dangerous. And coming from, I think it's Nova União, he comes from under Pederneiras. I went in and kind of looked into his black belt, where it kind of comes from, and it's the Carlson Gracie through Pederneiras and stuff. So he's a legit guy on the ground. And like I said, I've been a fan of Blackshear actually in his couple of UFC fights. I did know him coming in a little bit. And like I say, he fought very well against Zalal. Really, really was up a couple of rounds there. Shot himself in the foot in that third round with a 10-8 and came out a draw there, and then lost to Basharat, who I'm very familiar with the Basharat brothers. I've known about them too for many, many years. And me personally, I think that Farid I think he's going to go a little bit further than his brother, honestly, and his brother's really, really solid as well. But I thought he was very competitive in that one there. Like I say, you say they're a super athletic dude. I like the fact personally that he's got himself out of Albuquerque, because it seems to be like a dead space in the MMA world now, especially with Jackson Wink. I think he's over in Florida, hasn't got a recognised gym. He's just kind of been floating about. So I'm interested to see really what he's been doing. I can see that he's been the kind of working on his cardio and so on. So I love the aggressiveness of Lacerda. I love his ground game. I kind of lean on the side of him. He's like minus 130. The line's actually kind of came down a little bit over here, which kind of surprised me. I thought it might kind of go up a little bit more to maybe the minus 150 range. And so the fact that he's came down to minus 130 is kind of getting me kind of angsty to maybe throw a couple of units on him. But honestly, I might just kind of sit back and enjoy this fight as a fan, because I think it could be a really, really fun one. It's early on in the card as well. I lean Lacerda. I do lean Lacerda. I think he's got a little bit more. I just think he's got a little bit more overall for me in this one, and I like the fact. I mean, the UFC are putting him in there with guys like Cody Stamann. He's like a peripheral top 15 guy, and you're putting him in there in Brazil. I'm going to lean him in this one, but like I say, whether I make a bet, it's another thing. But I like the fight. I do. I really do like the fight. I'm looking forward to watching that early Sunday morning my time. So yeah.
Indeed, it's going to be quite a good fight. Yeah, you reminded me with the 10-8 for Blackshear. He actually got 10-8 because he got hurt to the body by Zalal. Yeah. So maybe something Lacerda can exploit. Alrighty. Jinh Frey, Elise Reed. I'll take this one away as well. I mentioned on the podcast yesterday with Dan from Half the Battle. Go listen to it if you want. I wasn't expecting to be interested in Jinh Frey, especially after the line movement. And I looked into it and I just didn't. I get it because Reed seems to, she's a lot younger. She seems to have a lot more fight in her. While she's fresh, she will throw hands, which more than can be said about Frey. Frey is very pedestrian. She does have a good left. She's very technical in the calf kick, but it's all just, one shots at a time and very close fights. But still, a dog money now. Slight dog money for Frey. I can't play this juicy line on Reed. Reed is just her whole UFC career. It's either getting finished by girls that are not finishers, which I mentioned, Eubanks, Hughes, and Loma, of all people. And then, just having close fights, against Corey McKenna and Melissa Martinez. Comes down to a couple of scrambles. So she's just one-dimensional. She's decent, but it's just bottom of the barrel stuff. And Frey's also bottom of the barrel. She's been knocked out before. She's 38. But, I've seen her go for takedowns. I've seen her take Loma's back. I've seen her take the Polas back in rounds 1 and 3 to win that fight. I think the Polas, at worst case, at least Reed's level. She's a technical fighter. I think she's a black belt as well. So, yeah, I mean, and Ashley Yoda. Say what you will about Yoda, but she could be even better than the Elise Reed too. Yeah, it's just one of those. It's dog or pass. I know I have to look into it some more before I get the courage to play Jinh Frey. Is just do I want to waste my time and look into this fight more? There's some good regionals this week, which I'll talk to you a little bit at the end. So maybe you have to prioritize. The other thing that I just noticed now, the unders are just quite nice, astronomical. Even if it doesn't go 2 plus 190. Reed finished in every single fight. I mean, if Sam Hughes can finish you, if Loma Lookbookme can submit you, yeah, she can get finished by Jinh Frey, right? And Frey, Frey's had chin issues. She's been knocked out by Ham in the first fight. Obviously, Poliana Viana was the most recent one to bring that out of her again. Poliana does crack. And Loma, that Loma fight, she was showing some flakiness. She was getting the crap kicked out of her by Loma, and she just looked like she was withdrawing into her shell. But she had a good round 3. So, yeah, nothing. Dog or pass for me, nothing at the moment. Potentially maybe a good live bet after Reed slows down. Yeah, what do you reckon? Yeah,
I was coming into this one last week and I was thinking I quite like Reed. And then the more I watched, I was like, yeah, I don't like Reed. I really don't. I don't like I would never, I think, put any of my money anywhere near her. And when I looked at Frey, I know she's kind of undersized. She's pretty much a 105 an atom weight, and she always has been, but that's not in the UFC, obviously. I think she's a more kind of potent striker, or a more kind of well-rounded striker. And I think if she can stop Elise Reed getting any kind of confidence with her strikes, then I think she can put her against the cage. I think she can get takedowns, and I think once she gets takedowns, I think that you can have top time and get to the back and whatever you really want to do with Elise Reed. I don't really see her making massive skill jumps with her grappling. So plus I kind of trust having like Safe Sayed. I know he's only in the corner and he's not really a big influence, but I think he's a world-class coach who instills a lot of confidence in his fighters, and he does improve them now. Is Jinh Frey making big improvements now? I very much doubt she is. But like I said, you said it, dog or pass. I would rather, if I had to throw down my money to kind of save my life, it would be on the Jinh Frey side, and that's, like I say, it's not super confident kind of pick, but she's who I would kind of go with. I just think overall our game's a little bit better personally. So yeah.
Yeah, well, Frey might cost you your life, mate. Just saying. All right, this fight. I'll let you go first, mate. Daniel Santos, Johnny Munoz Jr.
Yeah, I'm contemplating, and like I say, my betting style's a little bit weird. I came from like betting soccer, so I was never really, or football. I shouldn't say soccer. Jeez, I'll get lynched if I say that over here. But for me, I always like to have like a 2 or 3 team kind of parlay. So I'm kind of really a parlay guy. At least I started that way, and I've kind of maneuvered to kind of trying to be decent across the board. Like I'm not the best in props, but I'm trying to get better at it. And it's one thing I have kind of looked into and did okay with the last few years. But parlays is initially where I'll start to look out where I can get some spots if I don't see a number that I think is kind of off. And for me, I like Santos at that minus 200 number. I think I can put him with people on this card. I think I can put him with people in the regionals. So he's a guy I just really I like watching fight. I think he's a really explosive guy coming out of Shooter Box. He comes out of.
He is,
yeah. And just really, really good in many aspects. I've seen he's been working his jiu-jitsu, which is something I looked at. I think that I don't know what the price is because, like I say, we are terrible with getting like prop bets for subs over here in the UK. But he's been working his submissions. I think it was Nascimento I saw him with, and he's a really good grappler himself. So all around, I think as a fighter, I think he's kind of got a lot of advantages here. I think that Munoz will literally come out to take him down and maybe try and work his submission. I think that's his best bet for winning this fight, maybe potentially getting the back or whatever. But I've seen Santos get up before, and I just think he's a little bit more dangerous across the board. I think he's the better striker, heavier hands. He's got takedowns. I think he's got. I've seen him hit takedowns. I've seen him get on the back of people, submit people. So, for me, I'm contemplating throwing Santos in a parlay with. I think it's going to be someone in another show out in the regionals here in Europe, but we'll see. I just think he's more explosive, and I don't think there's much danger on the Munoz side personally. So, and I think his caliber opposition that he's fought in the UFC, his losses, his wins, are not like super solid whatsoever. So for me, I think I bet Santos last time out as an underdog against Castaneda, and that was a really fun cash. I remember it was right before can I go to my bed because I've got a certain time I have to go because the kids whatever. But I watched that one and it was a really, really nice cash dog play there. So I'm on the Santos side. I think he stops this guy kind of in the middle part of this fight. I think he runs down Munoz and gets him out of there.
Yeah, agree with everything, man. This is the third time I've broken this fight. I also had him against Castaneda as a dog. That was early morning for me, so cortisol was super high. So that was quite a stressful cash. Must have caught like 3 knockdowns. But I'm just glad that one of my boys had the over at Juice. It's all right. These guys are very durable. And I was like this before the fight started, ready to press the Juiced over, and I was like, that makes no sense. I can't. If I'm playing Santos as a dog, then I can't play this over. And I didn't play it, and I was like, thank God, because 30 seconds in, you could tell the over was not going to hit. Yeah. But yeah, ultimately, I think this could be a little bit sweaty. I think Munoz's best part of his game is getting on top and working his ground and pound and passing and submission. He's quite aggressive. What I did to Nate Maness in round 1, it could have been a 10-8. It wasn't, unfortunately, for him. But he does that. When he gets on top, he's just super lethal. But yeah, Daniel Santos, Diego Lima, black belt. He submitted Nascimento in training. Say what you will. 2 black belts submitting each other, that's completely fine. It's normal. I submit color belts in training, just means nothing really. But still, he's good. You can tell he's good. He's got submissions on his regionals. He's gone for arm bars. He went for really tight ninja chokes against those Russians. Yeah. The guy that he beat, like that was tight, man. He was 23 back then. Very tight, and that Russian, if he wasn't such a savage, he would have tapped to that. It's $9 for the submission.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, or plus 800, I think that is.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't like be greedy. I think you just play the Santos inside the distance, and it's plus money $2, and that just improves this minus 200 line, which I wouldn't really play because it's just too too sweaty at that line. I like the line that I had before he got cancelled.
Yeah.
And even that was like, am I forcing this? Because I can see him get taken down. I can see him, being bottom mount. But yeah, he'll get up. He's a black belt for a reason. He's not a fake black belt. He just doesn't mind getting taken down, which makes it a little bit sweaty. But if he can cap the fight as a whole, which means eventually he will get up, eventually he'll put the pressure on Munoz, who hates it, probably going to knock him out, then you shouldn't really sweat. You just say, all right, I knew this was going to happen. And I don't mind that as a parlay piece, I guess, just not for me. But yeah, I reckon I'll play the inside the distance by the end of the week. I think Santos cracks. He has one punch KO power. And he also has attritional damage because he just keeps coming and, breaking Castaneda, man, that's no small feat. Even though Castaneda was sick, apparently, might have probably adrenaline dumped 2-3 times in that fight. But yeah, still impressive, man. Alrighty. Let's move on. Now, I personally don't want to talk about Andre Arlovski, Dontel Mays, so you let me know if you want to add something to this fight.
Arlovski decision is probably as far as I'm going to go with that. Like I say, I can't believe, honestly, like I've met so many fighters over the years. See, the worst fighter I've ever met is actually Andre Arlovski. He was the biggest wanker I think I've ever met in my life. I don't know whether I caught him in a bad day or whatever, or some of the certain people who's around maybe caught him in a bad day, but it's kind of crazy how many fights I've kind of watched of this guy over the years, but it's kind of hard to kind of trust him. I think he's got a little bit of quit in him. Is Dontel Mays really going to bring the quit out in him? I don't know. Kind of pass fight for me, but I'll lean on the Arlovski side.
Yeah, no, of course, man. I just didn't want to tape it. I taped a little bit of, I saw the Lin Zaleski fight, and I was just like, that's all I need to see. Like, I know exactly how Arlovski did. Arlovski was one of my favorites, man. When I was younger, I kept watching that video of him entering against Silva, and it's got like some heavy metal music with like the werewolf howling, and then he comes out with the long hair and the hairy chest and shit. I was like, wow, this guy's an animal. That was like 99, dude. 2000. Yeah. I was 10 years old, and then this guy's still fighting. But honestly, if I look like him at like 43 years old, he still looks like a Spartan. So I'll be pretty cocky too. I remember that was my first heartbreak. I was like when he lost to Silva, like to like a bum, he got caught. I was like, damn, that's right, he'll be back. And then he kept getting caught. And then I was reading articles. Apparently, he was like banging all these models that they were distracting him from his career. I was like, come on, Andre, like go back to your career, focus on your career, mate. It was like 33 back then. He's like 43, and he's taking his career more seriously than ever. Just crazy. Anyway, we didn't talk about that fight, so might as well talk about irrelevant stuff for a bit. John Castaneda, Moon Gafurov. I reckon this is the main event. The people's main event. I'm pretty confident this is it. I know everyone in my circles on Castaneda, and then I know maybe 2 or 3 people, including myself, on Gafurov. And obviously the line is moving that way. I was hoping it would go the other way. People know Gafurov as a gasser from Contender Series, and that was a red flag losing to someone like Chad, who to me is not a UFC level fighter. Mostly because he's undersized and he's just kind of lacking a little bit of athleticism. He's not bad in terms of skills. But yeah, the money is just all on Gafurov. I personally think it's sharp money, not because I'm on that side. I just feel like it's people looking past, that performance in Contender Series, which I already talked about it on Dan's podcast. He took that fight on like 5 days notice or something. He had COVID, and then on his Instagram, he was training, hitting pads, looked horrible hitting pads in some Tajikistan gym. And he said, been sick this whole time with COVID, but in 5 days, we're going to America to follow our dream. And then the next day, he was like flying out tomorrow. And then he got there like 3 days before, and then fought in Contender Series 3 days later. So still almost won. Dominated round 1, dominated round 2, got dropped with a knee at the end of round 1, and round 3 was competitive. So, but it's Chad, so Castaneda is going to put up a much better fight, but I think he's going to do. I think he's a lot better now, right? He's had a lot of experience before and won. Like he's losing to Kevin Bellinger, and Reese, who I was about to bet as a massive underdog in his most recent fight. Reese is just known to be as a guy that can be taken down, but he just keeps getting up, and eventually he gasses you out. That's how Gafurov loses, right? He just goes for takedowns. He doesn't pace himself, and then he just loses a close decision. But yeah, I think he's improved. His physique looks even better in LFA. I read that he's been getting ready ever since he won the title, which is a smart move. I think everyone knows now that if you win the LFA title, the call is around the corner. And I went on his Instagram, and I can see he helped Merab train for that camp, which it doesn't mean too much. It was a while ago now, but doesn't mean he was sitting on his ass, or didn't go back to Tajikistan or anything like that. So I think the people that are betting on him realize that too. I think it's pick him in most places now. I bet a unit on him at 210. Slight dog money by 10 cents. And I don't really, I'm not like overly chuffed about it. I can see a really competitive fight. I can still see him slow down a bit. Castaneda, apparently, if you like narratives, they're talking about him training for the first time full time. Apparently, every single UFC fight, he had a side hustle, side job, which I believe because, his whole life he's always had trouble with making weight in contender series. And I think they were about to boot him from Combate because he couldn't make weight. So this is a guy that probably had a full-time job his whole life. He wasn't 100% focused. But yeah, if he is finally focused, man, I think he's one of the best regional guys. He's fought the who's who on the regionals. Been around the block, been on contender, and I think he's underrated. I think he's good everywhere. Not amazing anywhere other than cardio and durability, and the rest is just boxing. He's got a sneaky head kick. He usually seals rounds with takedowns because he can be a little bit low volume and he can take a little bit to get going. And I don't know if he's going to have those easy takedowns here against Gafurov to seal the rounds. And then at that point, it's a competitive striking battle. The more technical guy in Castaneda versus, the raw power, explosive Gafurov dude that can seal rounds with, knockdowns, big power shots, spinning back kicks. I don't like the spinning back kick. He throws it way too much for my liking. It's not set up and it's over and over and over again. And it can get him caught. It can get his back taken. But yeah, man, this guy cracks. I remember the reason I played him against Chad, even though all those red flags, was because I thought he's probably going to knock out Chad in one round. And I forgot about that. And then I'm retaping it. I'm like, damn, I forgot that this guy has one punch KO power. I haven't seen it in a few fights. So yeah, I'm on Gafurov, man. I'm still going between this line is accurate because of the short notice and John, being a good fighter, blah, 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 to maybe a pick'em, to maybe Gafurov should be the slight favorite. So it's Gafurov slight favorite or John slight favorite, or maybe pick'em is just accurate. So I don't know, but I do have a unit on Gafurov, and yeah, that's one of my only money lines after Jim Miller got pulled. So what do you reckon?
I bet Gafurov yesterday. I got plus 120, so I got 2 units at plus 120.
Better than me, yeah. By 10 cents.
Yeah, I was wondering where the line, when I heard that this fight was getting put together, I was wondering where the line was going to go, because for me, I think he should be favoured. I know it's short notice, and I know he's, like I say, he's coming in here like a week or whatever it may be. I've really liked him for a long time, going way back before the John Lineker days. I thought there was a lot there that you could kind of mould into being a really good fighter. And Tajikistan, let me tell you, they've got a group of fighters that are coming through that are kind of making their way into the UFC now. There's more to come. I make videos like probably at the start of every year of 10 fighters the UFC should sign. Gafurov was one of the guys in there. I thought that they're going to sign this guy this year, especially after his 2 performances after the Dana White Contender Series. I mean, that was just... I actually think I'd bet on him that week. I think I ate so much juice, and I never watched it. I was going to work the next morning, and I seen that he lost, and I was really surprised that he'd lost. Then I watched the fight later on, and I was like, so he put everything into the kind of first round and just kind of gassed out and really didn't look in the kind of greatest... just didn't look good. Just didn't look good. There was something up, whether it was coming from Tajikistan or being ill or being whatever it may be. You say he had COVID. That doesn't surprise me. So, but his 2 fights since, he's actually fought really solid Brazilian guys, and I think he's looked very, very good. I think he's got massive power in his hands. I don't like the fact that he kind of rushes forward a little bit too much, that he could maybe get countered with something against someone like Castaneda, because he's a guy that actually, I think he's pretty decent, and I know I've faded him a couple of times. I was successful in the Nathaniel Wood fight. There might have been another one in there where I actually bet him, but I think he's super solid. But for me, I've got a ton of stock in Gafurov. I think he can grapple him a little bit. I think I don't think his grappling's super solid. If you watch the fight against, I think it's Souza, with Souza, he was kind of getting taken down a little bit, but then he'd find a way to kind of get into the dominant position, get back to his feet. But like I say, once he gets back to his feet, he's got that one punch power that can really change fights. And like I say, the fact that I didn't know until this week that he'd been, like I say, I'm not one to kind of Instagram stalk all too much, not unless I really like someone. And this was Gafurov. I was like coming in short notice, but when I seen he'd been with Merab, I think I messaged someone. He's been around about Aljo's camp as well. Obviously, if Merab and Aljo are pretty close together, kind of being around people with that kind of energy, especially what I hear from like people around Merab, he's like super high confidence. His energy's through the roof. Stalin must be the same, considering he's winning fights and looking great, like just having title defenses and whatnot. I think he's got multiple ways he can win this fight, and like I said, I think Castaneda's been in Thailand for 5 weeks, so that's only going to help, especially if he's not got like the side hustle that you were saying. Like I said, when I seen the plus money, I genuinely thought it was going to be plus 150-ish. That's where I thought it might open, but when I seen plus 120, I was like, I'm confident in taking that. I'll take a couple of units. So I'm with you on Gafurov here as well. I think he can stop this guy. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, John is very durable, man. Extremely durable. It's just the only problem is he eats shots with his head. One of my favorite plays was fading him against Miles Johns, and even then, I had to tape Castaneda's entire career to get a proper read because it's just. I'm like, why is he going? He's kind of good, but he's also losing to regional Mexican dudes, like Jose Alde and and it's like, how is he so good? But why is he like? Why am I missing? Why is he losing these fights? And then I just have to tape the whole thing, and I remember that's when I introduced myself to the ×2 speed, and I was like, all right, if I'm going to take 20 fights, I might as well do it on ×2 speed, and I just did it, and then I just ended up noticing every little thing because everything was so fast, but the only thing that stuck out was those little things that he kept repeating in every single fight. So I was like, boom, and now I do every fight on 2 times speed, saves time obviously, and I was even in that Johns fight, it was just a whole lot of nothing, eating bombs on the head and just pressuring Johns and making Johns throw and kind of throw a couple of leg kicks, head kicks here and there at the end of the rounds to steal it. And then, finally hurt Johns in rounds 2. But Johns is super, super flaky and just allergic to pressure. And, it took one punch for him to want to be out of there. Gafurov was way durable than that. And I think this is going to be a war. It's a war, which is why I'm not overly confident in Gafurov. If he came here on like full camp 2 months and they're like, hey, come in, and he's like training for 2 months, I think he would look a decent favorite against Castaneda. But I reckon it can definitely it can knock out Castaneda. Castaneda's been dropped by what's his name, Brown, like a regional bum dude. That's one of the fights that I found, and there was a bit of an early stoppage, but man, he had a clean right and he dropped, so the ref kind of had no choice. I could see that happening here. Depends who's in there. If Jason Herzog is in there, then we won't get a stoppage at all until the death. Other than that, yeah, close fight. I wish I got that 220. Even I didn't even have that. I think I had that on Bet Online, and then I was just like, nah, I'm not overly confident. I'll wait for Bet365. Sometimes Bet365 is, you get better odds when it opens up in Australia, and it was even worse. Then Dan told me yesterday that it's pick 'em everywhere else, so I just locked that in. But let's move on. It's gonna be a good fight. My boy, UFC betting experience says. Bet the over 2.5 on that fight is better than John Moneyline. Yeah, I think it correlates. I don't think Castaneda finishes him unless it's in round 3 and is completely cardio gassed. He's not much of a finisher. Usually gets his subs when his opponents break from cardio dying. Alrighty. Zaleski, Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Take it away, mate.
Yeah, I can't. I'm kind of struggling picking a side here because I've always been a big fan of Zaleski de Santos. I've really liked him over the years. I actually had no idea that he was kind of coming off a PED suspension. I don't know how I missed that. Like I said, I'm not fully ingrained in the kind of MMA world as much anymore. Just busy guy with family and work and whatnot. So seen that he's 36, 37 years old. Another guy that I've kind of been watching for many years. Super dangerous on his feet, obviously. Capoeira is his nickname. We've seen some kind of vicious knockouts in his UFC career. We've seen some submissions thrown in there against kind of low caliber guys like Curtis Millender. But he's a guy that kind of brings his all. He's a really, really solid fighter. Most of his wins are via knockout, TKO, and he's coming off I think this win will turn out to be a really good win from the Benoit Saint Denis fight. I think that that is a genuinely good win, because I think Saint Denis is a bit of a beast when he kind of gets going. He looks that now. I watched him in Paris last year, and I think that's a really solid win. But we all know what Abubakar is going to come out here and do. He's going to look to spoil the fight and get the fight to the ground and kind of have some top time down there. Now, not saying that Zaleski can't catch him a submission, because I think Abubakar is a little bit flaky in my opinion. I don't think he's overly great. I think he obviously gets a lot of hype with the name that he has and who he runs around with. But like I say, if you go back a couple of years ago here, I would have been all over Zaleski to Santos in this spot. But for me, I kind of see Abubakar really spoiling this fight and winning a really kind of crappy decision. But honestly, my heart's kind of on the Zaleski to Santos side. I'm not going to have a play in this one. I'm hoping Zaleski wins, but my pick's actually going to be Abubakar. I think that he just kind of does enough with his grappling to win a decision.
Nice. I agree with you. I love Zaleski. I'll try add something else to the podcast from yesterday, because I told everyone to listen to Dan's pod. So Abubakar, right? Let's go through his a lot of his fights in PFL and UFC, right? Because you can see the odds. So I won't go too far back, but let's start with Matthew Frinsu. Minus 450 favorite. Fair enough. He ground pounded him. John Howard, minus 385 favorite, went to decision. Matt Sector, no odds. Pavel Kush, minus 1,420 favorite. And he got submitted by Pavel Kush. He got dropped first, right? Jonathan Veslin, minus 740 favorite, went to decision. Boyan, there's no odds. He went to a draw. He'd get cardio gas there. I watched that fight many times. Minus 315 favorite over Zawada, got finished. Minus 220 favorite over Jared Gooden. You know what? That's probably the one time he covered, even though it went to decision. Yeah. He was lighting up, but that says more about Jared Gooden than Abubakar, because he had his hands low down to his knees, and it was just like talking trash while eating clean shots in the head. That was the most retarded game plan I've seen. And then I think he had his hands low just to like stop the takedown. But then even when the takedowns came, he couldn't stop him either. So it's just Jared just fights like that. Hopefully we'll see him again. And then minus 140 against Gadzi. That was honestly maybe close to accurate. And, he won a 29-28, which is a little bit surprising. So this guy doesn't cover his line, and it was an underdog finally. Finally, the bookies have caught on. But yeah, I think, if gun to my head, I'll play Zaleski. I can't play someone like Abubakar that has no finishing upside. It just lays on you, and he can still lose a decision because he's just so harmless. It's all control over damage. Whereas Zaleski, he might get taken down. He has no consideration for his takedown defense. I actually feel like I've seen improvement. I went all the way back to Omari Akhmedov and Nakamura, and now, with Saint Denis and Vendramini and whatnot, I'm actually seeing like he's trying to stop a takedown a bit more rather than always hunting for guillotines and stuff. And that, he's in camp for this guy, so he's focusing on that for sure. But yeah, I'll rather play him. Even though it's going to be a sweaty fight, Pickham's probably accurate. He's got all the big moments. He can knock out Abubakar. He can submit Abubakar. He rolls for knee bars. He reversed Omari Akhmedov twice, inverting for legs, and ended up on top. So any of that can happen, man. I've seen Abubakar get taken down by Gadzi. Yeah. Zaleski or pass for me is just the layoff, the suspension. I don't know it was a suspension either until yesterday. So submission is a nice juicy line. It's $8 as well on Zaleski.
All right. Wow.
Abubakar doesn't get knocked out much. He does get club and subbed. So maybe if he gets cracked, he can dive into a sub here. But yeah, pass fight for me at the moment. All right, Jamie Malarkey. Muhammad John Naimov, what is that to say here, man? I actually played some Naimov at $4.80 plus 380 because look, I wasn't impressed with his tape. I like the improvement. He's definitely improved since his Contender Series. Losing to Colin Anglin, yeah, it's a red flag. I actually bet Colin Anglin there. He was actually the similar odds as this. I just didn't understand why Anglin was getting so underrated. I think he was just like the whole Tajiki tax on the price. And I wasn't even a good bettor back then. He was just like, I took a stab on a massive dog and he just came through for me. But yeah, I think it was just kind of like a cardio dump thing, a young Naimov and just went hard in round 1 and he just cardio gassed. But yeah, he still has issues with takedown defense, but he's been fighting better guys. The guy from Eagle FC in his second last fight, went back and forth. That was probably a close decision. Probably lucky to win that. Yeah, but yeah, he's got good striking, man. Good striking. He's improving. He's 28. I didn't even know he was moving up from featherweight. So that kind of makes sense, undersized, moving up to lightweight against Malarkey. He's had a full camp. He can't stop a takedown. Malarkey's probably going to wrestle him to a brawling decision. But look, the line's already moved 80 cents. I think people just realize, Malarkey's not really someone that's should be this much of a favorite over anyone. So I'll see what I'll do with it. It's weird when Naimov is one of your money line players on the card. I'm just it's a third of a unit, $500. I don't know. I like how that 500 to win almost 2,000 looks. It could be just me getting greedy, but who knows? Maybe it gets close to minus 200 by the end of the week, and I can just hedge, put 1,000 on Malarkey and just, end up with a little bit of profit. But yeah, man, that's not much to say. Ultimately, I think could be value until Malarkey beats him. What about you?
Yeah, I'm probably the biggest fan of Jamie Malarkey in Europe, if I'm being honest. I don't know what it is with this guy. There's just some guys that I resonate to. And
no, you're the only.
I might be the only. Yeah. I genuinely don't know what it is. I think it's probably his first fight in the UFC, the Brad Riddell fight. I watch that fight probably at least once every kind of couple of months at least. I don't know why I always kind of go back to it. A great fight. I just like how hard-nosed, and you can tell he's a really kind of hard-working fighter. Not super talented in kind of any one spot. Pretty durable when he wants to be. But I was kind of sweating. I don't want to say I was sweating bullets. I thought I wanted to see a little bit more out of him in his last fight against Prado. He really didn't show anything. I thought it was a prime opportunity to come in there and kind of beat that young guy, get him out of there. And you said it brilliantly. I think him by decision is probably he's going to wrestle to a kind of bone decision. Watch some of Naimov, doesn't look overly impressive. Like I say, moving up from 145. I like some of his kicks, but outside of that, I think he's going to get taken down. I think he's just going to kind of get rolled on for kind of 15 minutes. So, like I say, the line is definitely coming down. It's like minus 375 over here in the UK. So it is definitely kind of moving over here. But for me, I hope Jamie Malarkey wins. But like I say, you've got money on Naimov. I'd rather have you win money than Malarkey win. So, like I say, pick will be Malarkey, but no bets on that one at all.
I don't mind, man. Like it's 500. It's a third of a unit. Like who cares? I don't even know that I'll keep that by the end of the week. It's just that line, $4.80. Against Jamie Malarkey.
Yeah.
It's a competent striker at 28 years of age. That's improving to. It's not some bum. It's not some squash match. It's probably going to be. He's less dangerous than Prado, but he's a more complete fighter. He's been to decisions. He's got the Contender Series experience. He's had title fights in Titan FC, won 5 rounds. So yeah, if Malarkey doesn't get him out of there, he's going to have to fight the perfect game plan. The only thing is, Malarkey can crack. That's why I'm scared of that decision. And I mentioned on Dan's podcast yesterday, the under could be a sneaky look just because Naimov's never been finished. Malarkey went to that decision and to decision with MJ in the last fight, and that under was juiced in the Prado fight. So maybe we get some market overcorrection. And what I noticed with Naimov, man, he was hurt by Colin Anglin when he was fresh. I think he was hurt in the Murad fight. He was hurt in the Mudaya fight. He lost his split and he got a head kick KO. In the last fight, which was against a bum. But yeah, man, maybe there could be a sneaky look. He's getting hurt in every fight. And maybe, sometimes you see overcorrection, in his hometown, in Perth. Not his hometown, in his home country. Malarkey, just wanted to win, right, against a dangerous kid. And you can see his corner was like, just stay safe. They just wanted to win. Maybe we get some overcorrection. How the lead there was getting a lot of stuff about being a boring fighter. And then now he just wants to KO everyone. So I'm sure, he wanted to win, but now he also, doesn't want to be a boring fighter. So who knows? Maybe we get some overcorrection. We'll see what the under 2.5 opens up. It's probably already open on no, it's not. I checked best fight odds. No, it's not. Yeah, it's tough fight to really like. All right, Karine Silva, Caitlin Souza, talking about fights that are tough to like. From a watching perspective, yeah, unless Karine Silva comes out of there and does her thing and gets a second submission, this might be one of those boring female fights. Ketlin Souza. I wanted to play Silva at a much better line than she was now after I taped it. I don't know why I chose this fight to be the first fight I taped, like during the break. It's just the way I chose it. And yeah, I was like, yeah, she probably has some value. I think this is going to go to -200, and it's gone past -200 now. Ketlin Souza, I see some people saying she's like a mini Andrade. It's a bit disrespectful to Andrade. Andrade, yeah. Andrade's just a whole other animal in terms of power and everything. But yeah, I don't know. She's a good striker, and I see some people say she's a black belt. She's been finished a lot with body kicks and leg kicks, and I've kind of low seat teeped her with her weak leg, with her front leg to the gut, and she just dropped like a sack of potatoes. But then she looks durable in other fights. It's just this fight I don't want to bang on. Can't play Silva at minus whatever it is, 240, 280. Souza, I'm just not really having much confidence in her because her path is most likely a decision if Silva slows down. I think Silva's improving. She was very patient against Potato, landed a big overhand right. She didn't rush it like on Contender Series. Souza, she's a good striker, but I mean, she's gone 5 rounds and she's not able to hurt anyone, or, the girls that she's fought in Victor are not good. I think Karina Silva is. I think her path here, most likely a decision if Silva gasses or something, at which point I might just I would rather just live bet it instead of just throwing my money away pre-bet. And then I was looking at the under, which is a pick'em. Personally, I lean Karine Silva by finish just because Souza doesn't have much regards for a takedown defense. And I've seen her finish by KO twice as well. But then the finish is only 20 cents better than the under 2.5. So it seems like a safer play just to cover both sides for 20 cents difference. But even that is I've taped the fight twice now, and I don't know why I haven't played it. Maybe those, KO losses, the leg kick injury at strawweight, maybe they're just freak injuries or something. I don't know. She's moved up to flyweight now. Mm-hmm. Maybe she's more durable at flyweight. Who knows? I don't know. It's one of those. Maybe I just play, Karine Silva under 1.5 rounds and sprinkle a little bit. Don't waste too much money on it. But yeah, it's a hard fight to have any conviction on. But I see Souza's a popular dog. What do you reckon? Yeah,
I've seen some people kind of talking her up this week, and I've had some people message me about her and thinking, do you think this line's off? And you think she's a little bit too big of a dog? And I was looking into it, I was like, she's really not looked overly impressive, I don't think, in her wins in Invicta. For me, I would have no real confidence of putting my money down. But when I watch Silva, I think that she was it the Chinese he that she fought, who like gassed very, very badly. And
hey, that's my joke. I used that joke yesterday.
I keep hearing that from people kind of most of the week, but she gassed like really, really badly. And like I say, the Botello, I think she was kind of on her way out. I think that was a really good. I think the UFC are pretty good at putting people together who they want to get the win, and the UFC kind of know who they want.
Sorry to interrupt, did you hear about Botello having cancer and stuff?
For real?
Yeah, she's like recovering. She's like, I don't know, getting chemotherapy. It's pretty sad.
Oh, that's not great. All the best to her. But yeah, like I said, Botello, I thought she was kind of clearly on her way out. Like I said, I don't really see a hell of a lot on the Souza side that kind of really gets me excited to play her. But I have seen her getting taken down and pop back up to her feet, and she is like aggressive on the feet. But I'm gonna, like I say, the women's fights when the lines are kind of like this, I kind of pick and choose my fights nowadays, and this is one that I never really looked into a hell of a lot. So I'll lean on the Silva side, but yeah, all the best to you if you're taking a punt on the other side. You maybe see something that I don't, but I've not really, like I said, I've not looked into it that much.
Yeah, I am not a fan of it. I mean, I guess it's female MMA, dog or pass, etc., etc. It's just not that simple for me. Yeah. Alrighty, this is the one that I keep going back and forth on in my own mind. I don't know if you've taped it extensively or properly at least, so you can give me your own input. After going on Dan's podcast, I said it feels like a levels fight to me with Tim Elliott, and then I'm getting influenced by others, and then it also feels like, Tim's going to do Tim things and maybe come out really, really strong in rounds 1 and 2, and then, just drop round 3 due to Victor Altamirano just out hustling him. Altamirano can be taken down. I think that's ultimately, and easily too, I think that's ultimately why he's such a big underdog, on top of, having a massive step up in his career, and then Elliott having a massive step down from ranked fighters, that like Nicolaou and Tagia, who, I mean, he beat Tagia, said, which really was a close split decision, or maybe it was a close 29-28, but he cheated a lot in that fight. But and he was fired up. A fired up Tim is good. He's fired up here too. And I just wanted to hammer Tim Elliott, man. Not by decision, not by anything, just hammer him, knowing that Victor Altamirano, his path is a close split decision, right? And just whatever happens. If Tim Elliott makes me sweat, so be it. But most likely he'll be up 2-0, and then Altamirano needs a finish, right? Needs a sub, and I mean the guy is just split decision over Candelario that everyone thought he lost. Split decision over Carlos Hernandez, which is actually more impressive at the time. But now I realize that Hernandez is just a really undersized decision merchant himself as well. And then Lacerda means nothing. And 29-28 to Salvador. And Salvador, anyone that does that Rabona kick in the octagon is just a super red flag. And Salvador did everything he could to lose that fight. And even then, Altamirano dropped the round to him, and he was just really gassy from all the wrestling. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this is a levels fight. And at the same time, I'm not rushing to just throw my money on Tim Elliott and then look like a fool when he's doing stupid stuff, constantly taking Altamirano down, but can't hold him down. And then Altamirano starts taking him down, and then it just devolves into a scrappy shit fest. And then, there's no Krause in Elliott's corner to fire him up, to tell him not to be an idiot, to concentrate. And then Elliott just gets into his own head, and then he just starts fighting like an idiot. I don't know, man. What do you reckon?
Yeah, like I say, I've always been kind of not on the side of kind of Tim Elliott. I've always thought he's had a little bit more potential than he's really kind of showed, and not really given us. I think there was a higher ceiling to him personally, a little bit, not a hell of a lot, but I'm kind of with you on this. I want to see a little bit more. Is Altamirano, is he ready to kind of make that step up? Because he has made his step ups in the UFC. They've all been, they've been pretty kind of similar opponents, but this is a more kind of recognised name. A guy who's been there with the kind of the who's who of the division, and it's very, very scrappy and just like one of the most awkward guys you could probably ever face. I thought he looked really good against Tagia early on, at least. I bet Tim Elliott. I think I got plus 215. I got on that one there. But honestly, when it went to the scorecards, I kind of chalked that to Gia. I thought he won that fight, but nonetheless, I thought he showed decent hands early on. Dropped him with a big shot. Really kind of kept himself in the fight there when Gia was kind of really starting to put it on him. Like I say, he's so awkward that I think he will kind of rush himself into takedowns, get some there, but I can see Altamirano getting back to his feet, and I think late on, I think he's going to be the one that's going to be landing the kind of more shots. But like I said, I'm kind of like with you. I feel like I want to bet Tim Elliott, but I remember going back years ago and I bet him at chalk and got burned. I can't remember who it was against. I was like,
it could have been anyone, bro. It could have been anyone.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I've only really bet him again. I took a couple of shots on him here and there as an underdog, and especially last time. Tagia to me is just like super uninspiring as a fighter altogether. Honestly, I've never been overly high on him. Going back into the kind of Russian regionals, but I lean on the side of Tim Elliott. Do you know his training situation for this fight? Because I have not got a clue what he's been doing.
I listened to the interview. I've been doing that a lot recently. At first, I was banging on about hating that stuff, but I think it's very important. I know one of my boys, pro MMA. He laughed at all my excuses and stuff. When I said Bruno Blindado was sick against GM3, and he laughed, and then he came out there and destroyed Tavares. You got to look at these things, man. And like Gafurov is another one. And I also gave Castaneda excuses. I said he had bronchitis against Santos. You have to, like, it's not an excuse. It's just like if a fighter's not performing like his usual self, and there's no excuse, then maybe he's going down in terms of But I listened to the interview, and Tim Elliott says he's in some mansion. I kind of zoned out. I put it on ×2 speed as well. I just want to see how was the mental state. Mm-hmm. And he's, he talked about the personal stuff, which was, whatever. He says he needed to do that for himself, and now he's a load off his chest, and he feels way better. The sad thing was, he said he still loves Gina Mazzani, which was a bit sadder.
Wow.
Yeah, wishes her all the best. Obviously, she left it for another guy, so he's no ill faith for him, but he just, still got feelings for her. But yeah, he's in a great mental state. He says he doesn't drink anymore. He's probably, from what I got from it, he's taking his career more seriously now than when he was in his early 30s. He said, he goes, I get meal preps, and all I do is train at the mansion and eat and look after and recover, and that's it. And he goes, I'm just happy to be training every day. So he goes, I'm looking forward to doing this, for a long time and competing with these ranked guys. So I was like, yeah, that's what made me want to hammer him. Like, he seems motivated and he seems, in a good spot. And we've seen that against Nicolau. He came out against Nicolau, destroyed him in the first round. Could have won round 2. That was a very close round 2.
Yeah.
And then round 3, I mean, he decided to give up round 3 because Kraus told him that he was up 2-0. But yeah, that's his training situation, man. He seems in a good headspace. I don't want to like cap that too much into the narrative, but skill for skill, yeah.
Yeah. No, because I was just thinking about, because the whole Glory MMA, I think it was like last May when he fought, so it was around the fallout of that, and he's one of the kind of long-term members of that camp, so I was kind of wondering what he was up to. Like I said, I don't really watch as much interviews. I just haven't got the time, basically, with kids and everything running around. So, but yeah, I'm going to lean on the Elliott side. I hope he wins. Like I said, if the line was a little bit lower, I'd probably be a tad more interested. But like I said, he's going to be the guy I think everyone kind of wants to win this week. So I'll jump on the bandwagon and hopefully he gets that big win there and kind of straighten out his life a little bit more and kind of get past that hard time that he's been kind of going through. So I'll go with Timmy Elliott.
Nice. What I'm going to do, I realized last night, I'm going to do some same game parlays. There's obviously people that have got DraftKings and stuff. If you're an Australian, there's Neds. I've been absolutely raping the Neds props. Mackenzie Dern, one takedown was $1.80. I almost picked him last time. She didn't make me sweat. It took about till round 3 to get the first takedown. I was like, Jesus, just hit one of your judo throws already. She kept getting reversed by Angela Hill, so it didn't count. But still, that line is crazy, right? $1.80 for one takedown for Dern. I know she has shit takedowns, but she averages one per thing. And this one here, like, it's pretty shit. Tim Elliott, it's like $1.10, but it's minus 200 for 2 takedowns. And I mean, that's a lock, right? Tim Elliott, he'll get one ASAP. Like straight away, he comes out there, shoots for the takedown. Altamirano's getting up. We can just say that, and then he's going to get one straight away, maybe in the same round. So I'm liking that. And then if you want to add Elliott to the same game parlay, or even Bet365, if you want to do Tim Elliott and then the over 1.5 in the Bet365, they've joined the train on doing same game parlays. I might do something like that. Get Tim Elliott over the dog money, and then if he does something stupid, whatever, at least I got him as a dog. Yeah. And yeah, just for reference, last few times he was a favorite was against Steve Win, the Asian dude. Minus 240 favorite, got finished in round 1. And then the same odds against Mark De La Rosa finished him. That's probably the one time he covered. And he was only a slight favorite over Espinosa, and he 30-27 him. So he's not that bad when he takes a step down. This could be an Espinosa, I reckon. All right, Jim Miller versus a late replacement. It's not even on Topology. Jesse Butler. Have you looked into it? I actually have a little bit.
I was going to earlier on, but I kind of got engrossed. I was watching some golf, and I was like, I lost my time with it. So
way more interesting than MMA. Yeah, that's fine, bro. Like we'll use this one to like save some time. I can't believe it's been an hour. I was trying to make this one a quick one. This dude, Jesse. I think he's a black belt. He's fought some good dudes on Fury. I watched 4 of his Fury fights. Knocked the dude out cold. I think that full dude is quite chinny. He went back and forth with Luna, another grappler. Yeah, I think essentially it's probably going to be a juice line. I think the fact that he's a black belt and then he's that he can hold his own. Maybe look at some Jim Miller decision. He fought Levi Moles. Lost the decision. He's got like 3 decision losses, only 1 KO back in the day. I didn't go in depth. When I have time, I'll go in depth. Look at some props. Can Miller finish him? Can Miller KO him? Etc. Etc. But yeah, he doesn't seem like the biggest cold body. Just like he's on like a 6-fight winning streak. All Fury, all like kind of salty regional records, but they're like veterans, and he's beating veterans. He's not beating like squash matches. So yeah, I think he can put up a fight, but he's moving up in weight. So another featherweight moving up. So which is a bit of a mountain to climb against the completely ready Jim. But yeah, no odds. So what can we really talk about? Let's move on.
Were you going to bet Jim Miller against Gordon?
I was. That was going to be one of the big brain best bets at the end of the podcast, and I even talked about it on. Reluctantly talked about it on the Half the Battle. I know there's like thousands of people listening, so I was like, it's different when I talk to it on my shit little podcast. No one hears. But I said it. I was like, he's gonna win, and I also had the no scorecards. I was like, gave it to everyone in Discord, and then I found Pick'em. That was a crazy line. No scorecards. Jim Miller decision, no bet at Pick'em. I mean, all the finishing upsides on his side, right?
Yeah.
So if he's gonna win, it's gonna be a KO. And I was thinking maybe like live bet Miller, Gordon later on. After Miller has some success and he starts to gas. But, no scorecards. If Miller sparks him early, you just don't have to worry about that. Or if Gordon wins the decision. Gordon wasn't finishing him. Gordon was just going to cage hump him, maybe get on top of him round 3, throw some pitter-patter ground and pound from half guard. But, unfortunately, all those bets are gone, Over 1,000 on Jim Miller money line as a dog. There's no scorecards gone. So, what do you reckon? Do you reckon he was going to have a shot?
I couldn't believe that they were letting Jared Gordon fight. And especially yesterday when I heard he had like minor concussion issues. And like I say, I don't think he's looked all that good recently.
No, he hasn't.
I thought he looked like really slow and lethargic in these last couple of fights. He was competitive until he wasn't against Bobby Green. But I thought Miller was definitely the side in that one there. I thought I was ready to probably kind of nut up and put some money down in old Jim there. But like I say, I think they must have seen someone must have seen that something was happening with him, and he's saying he was like 193 coming into this week, so he had a lot of weight to probably cut as well. So it's probably the right decision that he's being pulled. Just a shame because
I think it was that interview. Yeah, that's another one I watched. Like I only watched the interviews I'm interested in. So like obviously Gordon, see about the KO and Malarkey, whatever I mentioned, and it's just that interview. I mean, every time you watch Gordon's interviews, they're always depressing. Like he's always talking about his addiction. Yeah, always his addiction and how much he hated life after that loss. But then he turns it around and he goes, yeah, I'm over it now. So it's always depressing. But this one was like, I cut so much weight. But I was like, it should be fine. And then, I had minor concussion symptoms, but they cleared me. And it's just like, dude, I already locked my bet in before all that stuff. Yeah. I try not to let narratives influence my bet because it was actually a pick'em in Australia, not like American opening lines that I can't hit. It was pick'em on Bet365 2 weeks ago. And I was like, I'll just leave this. I'll take something else. And then the actual public moved him to minus 200. I would say it's more pick'em, if he doesn't get knocked out by Miller in round 1 and 2, then he's probably going to win round 3 and round 2 is competitive. So that's maybe slight favorite to Gordon because he's got cardio advantage. But then he's also got the concussion advantage and how much weight is he cutting, and then all that's probably going to contribute to his chin. But anyway, it just makes me sad talking about it. So let's move on. I'm glad you're on the same side at least. Alex Caceres, Daniel Pineda. This one, I'm waiting for the weigh-ins. I'm kind of close to pulling the trigger on Pineda. It's another one of those, Caceres has, the better footwork. He's the smarter fighter. He's got the better cardio. You know what he's going to do. He's going to keep running away from Daniel and sticking and moving. Pineda at this age and post-peds and pre-peds. Maybe he's still on peds. It looked like he was against Lutz. Surprisingly, he didn't pop. So good on him. Good on him for finding a way not to get caught, or good on him for actually getting in shape without him. Who knows? But this is a step up from Lutz. And even that was a little bit sweaty. He broke Lutz with leg kicks, really painful leg kicks, which MMA math, Sadiq Yusuf did the same to Caceres. But Sadiq Yusuf, 29-28. He didn't run through Caceres. He didn't steamroll him. Sadiq's a little bit flaky though. He's probably one of the most flakiest ranked fighters. He's a powerhouse, but then again, he can always lose you money. He's a bit chinny, he's a bit flaky. It's a dog or pass for me. This is another one where I saw some one takedown attempts. It's minus 200 or better than minus 200 for just one takedown by Pineda. I know he might have trouble getting, cornering Caceres. But early, man, I reckon he got on everyone's hips. He got on Cub Swanson's hips. He took him down. He got on Lutz's hips multiple times. Lutz actually has good takedown defense. I know a lot of people are playing him against Sabatini because of that. Sabatini exposed him as, not being able to defend chain wrestling. But I reckon he's going to get on Caceres' hips at least once. Kevin Kroom took this guy down at least once. Steven Peterson took him down twice. These are all plotty, slow guys with bad wrestling. So Pineda will get in once, take him down, and I might just hammer the minus 200, one takedown. And the fact that Caceres can't knock him out, has no one-punch KO power, tells me that there's plenty of time for Pineda to at least land one takedown. But yeah, man, if he comes in looking like the Lutz fight, dog or pass, and I'll force the bet, and then I'll just look to live bet out. What do you reckon?
Yeah, like Alex Caceres has been a guy that I have cashed so many bets on. I didn't even realize until I went back and had a look. Like I got him, I think he was plus 170 against Chase Hooper. I bet him against Kevin Kroom, Sung Woo Choi. So I've been around, like cashing some money, getting some money back on Alex Caceres. But like I said, I think this. I don't want to bet him at like minus 175 when he's a dog. I will absolutely think about playing him. But the more danger is on the Pineda side. And I do think he can, even though he will gas probably after the 5 to 7 minute mark, I still think he's going to be dangerous. I don't see much of a finishing equity from the Caceres side. So he's always kind of going to be in the fight to land a shot, potentially get... I'm interested to see if this hits the mat, because I think Pineda's very dangerous down there. I think he's been a black belt for a long time, off the top of my head. And the guy's a finisher. The guy's just a straight out finisher. Going back into the PFL, he was like beating guys. I know there was circumstances where he popped for PEDs and stuff, but yeah, when you look at this fight, I think it's dog or pass. I don't want anything on Caceres at like minus 175 or whatever he's at. I think that you take a shot on the Pineda side, if anything, in this one. But yeah, I think on the dog side is where you kind of want to be, in my opinion.
Yeah, take the dog shot and embrace the sweat.
Yeah,
sweat it out. I mean, yeah, he's not worthy. He's not worthy. I've been catching him too, but that's during the COVID time. They've been giving him all these bums during COVID, and if you give Caceres a bum, he will. He gets favorable matchups. He even admitted it. He will win. But this is Pineda's not a bum. He's just got his own issues. And I mean, he's doing grappling, and he's still got rear naked choked, in 5 minutes by Pat Sabatini. So his jiu-jitsu is getting better. But if you said you think he's been a black belt for a few years. Pineda's been a black belt since his first UFC stint back in 2012. So,
jeez.
You get a stripe on your black belt every 3 years. So, man, this guy could be a coral belt. I don't know. I don't think he trains. Otherwise, he would have been a coral belt by now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the guy is experienced. We'll move on though. I want to see what it looks like in the weigh-ins. And the main event, great fight, best fight hands down. Best way to end an average card, low-level card. This is how all your main events should be. Nothing worse than watching a whole card and then finishing it with like a holy home main event. That just breaks me. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. Like if a whole card is crap and I have a good main event like this at a 5-rounder, 2 ranked fighters that I can't really pick who's going to win, then it makes it all right, because at least I'll let up to the best fight on the card and now I can enjoy the main event. Anyway, I'm talking about this a lot because I don't have any plays here and I don't even have a good breakdown. Albazi, I think he can keep it competitive. Good jab, good calf kick, good distance management. He doesn't really put himself in danger much. He did lose against Shody Torres by being a little bit reckless and kept getting countered. I don't see him doing that as much anymore. I think he's improved his game. He's still young. I love his camp. The Basharat brothers and Dewey Cooper is in his corner. I don't think he gets any. That's probably the best fight IQ camp you can have, and I think that's why London Street Fighters. And I think that's why London Street Fighters, but now he's in Extreme Couture. But I think that's why he fights like that. You can see that he's got fights exactly like the Basharat brothers. He doesn't rush in. He mixes in takedowns. He's got serviceable striking, good cardio, great jiu-jitsu. Just overall good fighter, and that's why I was leaning him. I've never really been impressed with Kai France. I think he gets away at a lot on his power, the overhand right, and just athleticism and physicality. He's quite quick. He closes distance well. He's able to explode when he gets taken down. He always gives his back when he explodes, but the submission defense, holds up. He can defend his back. He can defend everything, other than when he dived headfirst into a guillotine choke against old mate Royval. He does mix in takedowns. That's why he got caught. He took Royval down. He took Nam down. He actually went for a takedown against Askarov as well. He mixes in takedowns a lot. He almost got guillotined by Paiva as well by going for a takedown. Mm-hmm. So he's a bit silly. There's a higher probability he goes for a takedown here. I feel like he will take Albazi down. Albazi strikes me as someone that doesn't have the best takedown defense. Everyone that went for a takedown took him down easy. Zalgas, etc., etc. I've seen it on the regionals. I'm kind of making assumptions. He seems like a guy that's got really good jiu-jitsu and doesn't mind being on his back. And then it just kind of like it'll be competitive striking. Kai France has good round ones against everyone. Moreno twice, which is impressive. Everyone, right? And then it kind of slows down, and then the output becomes a bit less. And when he gets pressured, it doesn't throw as much on the back foot. So I think it's just who can pressure, who can impose their game, who can take the center of the octagon. When he did that to Askarov, he broke him in rounds 2 and 3. If he does it to Amir Albazi might look like the Shorty Torres fight. It's hard to shoot on the back foot. If Albazi pressures him, I think he's going to win rounds on the feet until he hits a big overhand right. And then I think he can seal rounds with takedowns. It's just everything. If I have multiple ways of seeing how this fight goes, then I don't really see an edge. So I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm going to enjoy watching it. I pick him. I can't get a lean. Every day I wake up and I pick a different guy in my head. So it's a pass fight. What do you reckon?
I'm on the Kai Kara France side myself, but with no real kind of confidence. Honestly, like Albazi's the guy I've known about for a long, long time. There was a bit of a reputation with him in the gym where he was like super, super lazy. Where they realised he was like a really solid fighter, and he wasn't really fighting the greatest opposition over here in the UK, but he was like, they knew he was better than what he was, and he just really wasn't pushing himself. That's why I really like the fact that himself and the Basharat brothers have got themselves out of the kind of UK London shoot fighter scene and moved themselves over to Vegas, where they've got everything on their doorstep, really. But I think, like I say, I've seen people this week saying that Albazi doesn't deserve to have this fight with Kai Kara France, and I'm like, I think this is the perfect fight for him to move into that top 5 of that division. I think, obviously, he's not fought the kind of higher caliber of opposition in the UFC as of yet, but I think he's looked pretty dominant in doing so for the most part. I think we've seen kind of growth from him every fight, and there's things that I really like about him. I like his jab, I like his uppercut, I like his ground game. I think that he's overall a very, very solid and dangerous fighter. Don't like the fact, I think he does get hit with a lot of kind of singular shots, where I think that Kai Kara France can maybe put more combination strikes on him and really kind of maybe mix it with a low kick and then go in a couple of shots up top. But like I say, the durability of Kai Kara France, to me, I know he got caught by Moreno last time out. That was just a good shot that just kind of folded him. It is what it is. But like I say, I do think Kai makes kind of mental mistakes in fights. He can give certain positions where he will give you opportunities to get his back or clinch him up, hurt him a little bit, and he is hittable himself. But he's the young kid's a dog. Like I really like watching him fight, but I don't think he's. When I look at that division, I would probably put Albazi a little bit in front of him. Not right. I want to kind of see it against a better caliber opposition, and I think this is the step up that he needs. But I've just had this gut feeling on the Kai Kara France side, in my opinion. There was a bet earlier on I was going to look at, and it came out over here in the UK, and it was, I love these bets, and like I said, I'm not a good prop better, but Kai Kara France rounds 4, 5 or decision was plus 200, and I was like, geez, I quite like that. I went back and looked a couple hours later, and it was plus 160, so I was like, I think I'm good, I'll just leave it at that. So I'm leaning on the Kai Kara France side, but like I say, no real confidence, honestly, and like I say, I think it's a really good main event, and I'm looking forward to see if Albazi can make that jump up, that next kind of logical jump up in the division. But as a pick, Kai Kara France for me.
Nice. I thought you might have had a confident take for a second there, but that's fine. Yeah, look, man, if you got that gut feel, I don't even have that gut feel, right? I just kind of leaned Albazi, but there's no gut feel. Sometimes I have a gut feel like Brian Battle, for example, against Gabe Green. It's just money was coming on Gabe Green. I was trying to convince myself why to play him, so I could be on all the right side, you know. And then as the week went on, the gut feel was like, nah, Gabe Green's not going to cover this. But I didn't know how I was going to win. It definitely wasn't going to be like that. But this is, I don't have anything here. So it's just, if I don't have a gut feel, if I don't have anything, I mean, it's already Friday, then it's a pass fight. So maybe you should take Kai France. Same as our UFC betting experience here. Kai, late rounds. I don't know about that because, well, are we assuming Albazi's going to gas? Like, I don't know. Like, Kai France slows down, right? He's rounds 3, you know, against Nam, against, all right, Askarov was the only one that he looked dominant in rounds 3, but that Askarov looked completely off to me for some reason. He doesn't usually have cardio that bad. He usually wins round 1 and then lost rounds 2 and 3 to Moreno the first time. Against Paiva rounds 3. So I don't know why people assume that maybe Albazi is going to gas. I mean, seemed fine against Shorty Torres, seemed fine against what's his name, Zalgas, seemed fine against Costa. I mean, he seems like a guy that preserves his energy quite well. It doesn't exert much, just jabs, bounces around. Good IQ, right? I want to see good IQ. But yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? He deserves this shot. That's people just saying that because of the lack of high-level opponents. But this is a good fight, man. Whoever wins this is going to be top 5 in my opinion. Alrighty. Now, I usually do best bets on the end of the show, man. I don't know if you have any bets locked in or if you prepared anything. If not, that's fine.
Just Gafurov. The only thing I've got is Munoz Gafurov right now. So I'll put that out as my best bet just because I think that, like, I've been a fan of his for a little bit, and a guy that I thought should have been in the UFC. Obviously, he kind of dropped the ball in the Contender Series, but I'm glad that he's getting his opportunity here.
Nice, man. Nice. That's going to have to be mine too, because the only other money line other than Jim Miller that got scrapped is Naimov, because just for the sake of just a little punt against Jamie Malarkey, and I can't really give that as a best bet. So I got Gafurov at $2.10. I didn't even give that to my Discord. They're probably going to be upset now. I don't know, because I just didn't have confidence. I only locked it in because Dan Levy told me he's going to go to pick him. It's a tough card. I feel like it's a card that's going to have a lot of live betting. So I'm pretty good at taking advantage of live betting, and losing 1,500 and Gafurov in a close fight where maybe I should have just live bet it. But that's going to be my money line. I think he looks favored here. Gafurov, and then the second one, I have to give my second one, even though I got nothing locked in. I'm probably going to play Santos KO. That's feeling like a confident pick every day I wake up, like as the week goes on. Tim Elliott, some one takedown. Daniel Pineda, one takedown, -200. There's another one for you. And what I'll do is I'll give the people some KSW plays, right? This is why the Big Brain is the best podcast out there. I locked in, let me tell you now. I locked in Adam Soldaev versus Daniel Rudkovsky. Let's share this tab instead. Let's go. So Adam Soldaev, really good dude. Obviously a bit of a step up in competition. He was plus 150. I locked in like $100, on Bet online. Then he was plus 140. I locked in another $100, and then I just put a decent sized bet at $2.30 on Bet365, which I told everyone that I know that's still a decent line. This Daniel dude, Rudkovsky, I think the only reason he's still ranked in KSW is because he fought your boy, Panais for the title shot. They gave him a title shot straight out of Babylon, and then knocking out Philip Page, who's a chinny Croatian dude. And Page hurt him at the start of that. He dropped him at the start of the round. Panais dropped him with a head kick before the rear naked. He beat Reginaldo Riera, who's a UFC drop kick. I just grinded him for 3 rounds. And then he beat Lom Ali Askiev, who was a pretty similar fighter to Soldaev, but just old and low volume. He threw that fight away. I know someone that bet on him, and they were just pulling their hair out. Askiev hurt Daniel in round 1 and hurt him badly in round 3. And it was a close round 2, and Askiev got a takedown. So to me, that was 3-0 in rounds, and they gave a split to Daniel. So, but I think Askiev's German, so maybe there's some KSW, some Polish bias. Both these dudes are Polish, so shouldn't be anything. But yeah, he always gets dropped. He's a grindy wrestler. I think you're making some assumptions for Adam. The best guys he's fought is Pascal Hinteng, 7-0. He knocked him out with a beautiful pull counter. It was like the Conor McGregor one over in KH Warriors. One punch KO is beautiful. And then Alexei Polishchuk, 10-3. He went to a decision for the first time against someone good, and I got to see his cardio. And yeah, it just seems like a more active version of Eskiev. So that I spoke to someone I really respect, and they say, look, I can see Eskiev as a 60% favorite. So even at Pick'em, even at barely plus money, there's value there, because Daniel's path is a grindy decision. That's what his path is. He's been winning, but yeah, I think here he gets lit up. He gets dropped again. Maybe he gets finished. So that's one of my plays. So there you go. Take that to the bank. That's more confident than anything in the UFC. So BigSteve will always give you something, even if the UFC is shit. And I bet Thomas Romanovsky, the Polish Mike Tyson, the dude with the extra small hands, extra small gloves, and he's just knocking everyone out. He was $1.66 when I bet him. I just didn't know how Pavel Pavlak wins this fight in a 5-round title fight. I was so close to fading him with Tom Breeze, a slight favorite. And then I taped the whole career of Pavel Pavlak. I didn't realize he was in the UFC. He fought Sabota and Edwards. back in the early UFC at welterweight. And I'm like, man, this guy's 20-4 and he's never been finished. He's got 4 decision losses. So I'm like, Tom Breeze is not going to finish this guy. And then it's too long for him to flake. And Tom Breeze went for a takedown, got hit back side of the head, claimed he got hit back of the head and just quit. And the ref just gave the KO win to Pavlak. And that's how he got his title shot. I think Tyson's going to knock him out at some point in the 5 rounds. That's all I got, man. I don't know if you have any leans on here or Cage Warriors. Cage Warriors is just quite a wasteland of really low-level fights.
I don't really. I think it's Cage Warriors in America this week.
Oh, I don't know, man. It's a really
I've heard nothing.
Let me check now.
I think they're in San Diego. I want to say they're in San Diego because, like I say, there's not been anything on my timeline regarding Cage Warriors, and I'm not seeing a hell of a lot. But KSW, I mean, they put on unbelievable shows. I was actually really thinking about going out to this one, but I just couldn't get the time to kind of get out there. I've got some certain things I was doing.
Man, that would have been such an experience, especially if you went to the Coliseum one. Jesus.
Yeah, I've been to a Cage Warriors card before, and I stayed at like just a normal size stadium, and they put on an unbelievable show. I've watched them in Europe, in London, and I watched them over in Poland. And the Polish fans are nuts, man. They love their MMA over there. Like I say, I'm looking at playing Soldev. I just had a look the other. The best line is plus 150. I don't know how it's still at that number over here and it's not changed. So maybe I have to jump on that pretty quick.
Jump on it.
I think I'm like I said, I'm a massive fanboy of Saladin Parnasse. I've been championing this guy for so long, and I mean, I still watch that knockout, that freakish knockout that happened to him against Torres. And then he came back and obviously got the revenge over him there. But I'm thinking about maybe throwing him in the parlay. I was talking about maybe having a couple of guys in a parlay, maybe Santos with Parnasse. But when I watch this Olkowski guy, he's so big, he's huge. But
he's moving up. That's why he's moving up to get the lightweight title.
Yeah. But he's so big. But I think it's an overall fight. I just think Parnasse is one of the most well-rounded guys I think that we have here in Europe. For me, there's Saladin Parnasse, and then there's Lucena Keita, who I'm just kind of hoping the UFC can really kind of just go and get these guys and bring them in, because I think Parnasse, you could put him in the 145 top 10 right now, in my opinion. I think you could put him in there and he'd look fine. So I'm maybe going to throw, I think for me, I might parlay him with Santos. I have to wait and see, but I think I'm going to jump in the Soldev bet with you. I think that's the number's a little bit high. It's still at plus 150. I'm going to try and get on that, I think, as soon as I come off here.
Yeah. The thing with Soldev is his mouth is open from round 1, but
yeah,
I saw that, and it's like that's not what you want against a grinding wrestler. But I saw that decision, and it was open round 1, and I was like, oh, here we go. This will give me. And his main takedown defense is he stuffs it before the guy can even shoot. Like his distance management, no one even gets in on his hips.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to see. He's always aware that takedown is coming. So that's a good kind of takedown defense. But if he's aware of that, then he will have good get-ups as well. So you're making some assumptions, but against the grinder that's 34 when it gets dropped. A good parlay piece, man. Saladin was minus 200 yesterday on Bet365, and I was looking at it. I'm like, generous, very generous, and I didn't take it. But if you want parlay pieces, man, you can play on the same card. Where is he? Radoslav Pazuski, he's ex-kickboxer. He's massive. He was 5-0, and he just lost to Thomas Romanowski, the Mike Tyson that I'm betting in the title fight. And that was a back-and-forth war. He got dropped by Tyson. He dropped Tyson as well, almost knocked him out, and lost the split. He looks massive. He looks like a light heavyweight. And he's fighting Michal Matela, man. He's been a punching bag for so long. He's 38. He's so slow. He's really lucky that Kendall Grove didn't knock him out. I mean, he's been knocked out by everyone. Scott Askham. I don't think this should be way more juiced. I guess Matela still has power. But yeah, I think at some point Pazuski's going to – I'm calling a stepping in knee because Matela just keeps coming forward with his head down. So that's a parlay piece for me. I'm just waiting to see if I actually want to play him with like Parnasse. And there's a bunch of – I can't wait to tape this card. I think this card is better than Cage Warriors and UFC, personally, for bets.
Yeah.
And Scott Askham is a $2.30 underdog against Khalidov. First time they fought, Askham just decisioned him to an easy 30-27. You know, Kaladov just keeps jumping for heel hooks, etc. That's why I wanted to fade him against Puds. Like, I didn't. Just no regards on being off his back. And then in the rematch, he just kind of switch kicked me and KO'd him. And he hasn't fought since. I want to know why he hasn't fought for 3 years. Maybe just take some time off recovering from the knockout. But yeah, I mean, Kaladov at 44 years old, and now he's a decent favorite again. He's also been, getting knocked out left, right, and center. So yeah, just interesting that Askam has such a clear path to victory here, and Kaladov's path is just the meme KO again. So, but I haven't locked it in. Something scary. The athleticism of Kaladov at 44 years of age still. This guy is a freak of nature, man. Yeah. I just don't believe how explosive and young he is and powerful. He's not losing because of his age, that's for sure. So there's a lot of plays, man. I reckon I have some parlay pieces here, but that's about it. And Cage Warriors, the only thing I've locked in is John Saragi. Jekka's young brother, and I completely butchered the line movement there. Everyone's playing this Gil guy, this average wrestler. I have to look into that again before I hedge a little bit. And I've played David Lopez over Connor Wilson. David Lopez beat Brandon Olivas. Anyone that beats Brandon Olivas is a goat. I'm talking crap. But Connor Wilson's not that good. He was a massive underdog. It's like pick him now. So that's a really bad card. It's just really low level fights. But yeah, that's it, man. Thank you. Sorry for keeping you this long.
It's good.
Yeah,
I appreciate you letting me on. I really do appreciate it. Because like I say, when people come and say, could you jump on? I was like, absolutely, I'll jump on with anybody if you come and ask me, and I'll make some time. So I just thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No, man, anytime. It's as soon as you followed me back on Twitter, I was like, this.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. Because I remember a ways back. See, I'm really bad. Sometimes I think I follow people and I really don't. And then I saw, it's like, how the fuck am I not even following you on Twitter? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, if he followed me back, there's a slight possibility that he might listen to my videos. So I
was listening before that. I was listening, so I don't understand. I'm just terrible at
that's all right, man.
following people. So yeah.
Who cares about Twitter followers anyway? I'll just buy all of them so I look famous. That's all that matters. Yeah, thank you, man. Anytime. It was a pleasure. Thanks for jumping on. Yesterday was Dan Levy, and today it's you. And it's funny. It's just two guys I listened to 5 years ago. It's just like a bit weird, that both on the same week, and I never thought I'd do a podcast, and now both of you, you were my guest, and one of the other guys I was on his show. So weird how life works out. Just not even planned. But thank you, mate. Thanks for coming in. Thanks to everyone that was listening. Always happy to have you back on some other time. I'll be going Europe soon, so it won't be for a while. But yeah, good luck on your bets. Good luck to your bets, mate. Good luck on Gafurov, especially. If any bet's going to hit this week, make sure it's Gafurov for the both of us and for Dan Levy. But yeah, thank you, everyone. And like and subscribe. Leave us a comment. And I appreciate it.